learn how we can set the layout, and then we start adding a product and we'll check what all the dependencies do we need on it, right? But yeah, just give me a second, let me reshare it. Before that, let me first open the assignment and discuss about that. Mm, Okay, so this is the assignment. Yeah, so whatever we did in the last week classes, we need to implement here the same thing. So for that, you need to first enable the LWC and try to work on the same LWC environment. Why I'm saying this? Because I want you guys to be aware about LWC as well, because in your project, maybe you will frequently use LWC. That's why. Next thing is this best practice. Basically, you need to consider that, and this is a real requirement. In my one of my project, I need to use some of. I mean, I changed the object name, but yeah, this was the real requirement where I need to work on a similar manner, right? First, you need to create a screen which allow a auto search functionality. That means you need to use a type head block. So this type head block I use by myself. Okay, when you get a requirement, nothing is mentioned like that which thing you need to use or what will be the approach that you need to use. This is something you can consider as your Jira or any tracking tool which gives you a 2-3 line of discussion, and based on that you need to create your structure, right? So the first screen that you need to create is they need one place where the users can search any object. Okay, here we are considering account object. Okay, once they start searching any object, they need to pre-populate those values, and based on that they need to select and click on the next button. When user click on the next button, there is a related record, maybe one or two related records. They need to show in a table manner. Okay, here in my requirement, I was not displaying this into table because they want their own custom view. But yeah, here you can consider you need to display using table, and inside table you need to add these three buttons: edit, delete, and create. Okay, and these should be functional. Like when you click on it, it should commit. Same goes for delete and new as well. Next thing is when after that you need to click on the next button, and the next window will open and it will show the account billing address information, like billing addresses, street, zip code, right? There are 5 or 4 fields, I think. They need to pre-populate the existing values of account fields. If user click on next without, I mean, making any changes, then you should not make either any backend call or any server call. Okay, those two things. I mean, if I mean, those things will never return in Jira or anywhere. We need to wisely think, like if there is already let long and there is no change into the address field, we should not make any server commit call or any remote action call or any external web service call, right? So those things you need to take care here. We only need to make changes when any changes happen. In that case, we also need to save the record and we also need to calculate the latitude longitude for the external systems, right? This is one example. It provide a free integration, so you can use it, but it's subjective. If you have some other integration, then you can also use it, right? Next thing is once it get calculated and everything work fine, you need to provide a feature where users can mail something in the attachment, and they can also pre-populate those values which get calculated via the previous API. Those things you need to make sure that it is there, and yeah, based on that you need to trigger the action. Okay, so once and if there's no change in the previous, the seventh step, okay, and let's say user already visited this flow, they have already done already completed this flow, and they again anyhow reached to that flow and they're again doing that, then none of the action should work. They can search, they can create new record, but after the 6 steps, 7, 8, 9, nothing will work. They should simply get bypassed, and the success message, you should display the message that email already sent. Okay, so that is the requirement. I have added some description, like you need to create a flag, because it will helpful for you guys to understand whether the attachments is already triggered or not, right? So those things you need to configure. Well, there are different ways to do that, but yeah, make sure whatever way you select should follow the best practices. Okay, and what are the best practices? Same thing. If no information gets changed, don't fire anything. Okay, and there should be no recursive thing also, right? What if the same ID two people are accessing? So that thing we also need to handle. Any questions on it? Good with the assignment? Okay, then let's talk about the class now. So today, like I was saying, we first check one product which is already created into the which Velocity already created for us, and then we will check what all the things that we need to add and how we can create a product on it. So you need to click on the dashboard. Okay, inside dashboard, you need to click on this plus icon. It will give you a list of all products. Click this. Right, you will see all those products which were already created by Salesforce. I have opened this iPhone 11. Okay, so there are some couple of fields you can see. Okay, first thing is general properties. There are something written, then those things. But before that, let me actually open any Salesforce record. Okay, let's say we products only. Let's open any product. Okay, what point I want to make is, first we will discuss all the similarities between how we display anything into Salesforce native UI. Like when I click on this product button, how it will, how we can configure those things, and how it will get matched with this Velocity page. That similarity we will check now, first thing. Then we will check what are the difference between configuring these two options, right? So see, before we actually go and create, let's say your project is to display a new custom record, which is name is product, and there's a couple of fields that you need to display. Okay, this is the requirement that you need to fulfill. So what things you need first? You first need you a object, right? Second thing is you need fields. And what types of field? It could be text, it could be number, it could be pick list, right? Anything. Those things, first you need object, then you need fields. Third thing, you need a layout. In a layout, what things you need? You first you need those sections, right? So called sections. You need sections. Then you need fields which you want to display. Okay, sections, fields. What else you need? You need related lists into the layout itself. Right? Okay, those at least things you need, and you also need buttons, actions. Anything else we need? We also need record type. Right? If nothing, we should actually highlight the default record types. Okay, any questions up to this level? Right, so those are the things that we actually need when we work in a default Salesforce any object based, right? We need object, we need fields. First we need to create object, then we need to create fields. We also need to take care what will be the nature of those fields. Once we're done with the fields, now we think about the layout. In the layout, first we need to make sure we created a sections, then we drag those fields inside those sections. We also need to take care about the related list if there is any, and we also need to take care about the buttons. Okay, the other thing that we need to take care is the record type. What is the record type basically, right? So velocity also follow the same thing. Okay, they have the same functionalities as well, right? Let me now name it. First you need object, right? Here also you need to create an object. This is same, no change. Here you need to think if you are creating, let's talk about this product console now. Let's say you want to consume default product object, which is product 2. Okay, this you said I want to set up my entire catalog by using Salesforce default product 2 object. It is, you first need to think, you need to ask your business which object you want to use for. Here you can configure your custom objects as well. Okay, you can create a entire new object at this stage. But yeah, first thing that you also need is object. The next thing is you need is the fields. Now let's talk about fields here. Let's go to the dashboard. Once you are done with which object you want, next thing you will ask what type of fields you want inside that. Those fields, there is a difference here. Let me write this thing here, which is the second option. Fields, right? In Salesforce, it is there is a structure, like there's an object, and inside the object we create fields. The scope of those fields is totally depend on the which object we have created, right? That means if I created, let's say, a field called color, this color field is now binded with the object that we have created under, right? We can't use this field anywhere, like without any relation, we can't use this field, right? That's default Salesforce nature. But here there's a slight change in velocity. What velocity says is you can create attributes. Okay, you can create attributes, and we will talk about the nature of those attributes. There are three types of nature of this attribute. You can refer to this structure as well. That means the scope of attribute will only limited to its object. Okay. Second nature is you can refer this attribute as a free flow. That means anywhere it can be used. And the third option, we will discuss about it. What is the record level of that? But yeah, third option I will keep it. I will not describe because I don't want to confuse at this level. But yeah, intention here, just understand we have fields in Salesforce. You can relate those fields here as attributes, but you can also use fields also. Whatever we have created in particular object structure, we can also access these fields. That means the first step, remember the first step, we have created our or used any standard or custom object, or we have created our own object as well. There, it's not like if you created your own object, you can't define any field there, right? You can go and define your fields on it, and those fields you can access at this level also, right? So this attribute is something add on which velocity added. Okay, so you can consider this stage as a add-on thing which is changed, and here it is same. Any questions at this? Okay, we are
here, we have object and fields. So that's a native Salesforce thing, right? But
right.
here, in a velocity, we are again defining on top of that object, we are defining our own fields.
No, we are not defining. See this. Let me highlight it in a different color. This stage, which is attributes, this has no relation with the object that we have defined into the Salesforce. That is the advantage of using velocity. We can define n number of attributes. Okay, and those attributes can be linked or can be scoped to access only with a object, or those attributes can be used with any object. Okay, that means let's say there is an attribute called color, right? Now you can use color to any electronic device. You can also use color for any let's say any other devices, like let's say chair also has its color, right? Any a pressure cooker, let's say, it has also its color. So all the entity, all the product that you can define it, they have all the physical product that you can define, they have color, right? So whenever you create a attribute, you should not link this attribute for a specific object, right? It should be free floating. That means anyone can use it. So that means is previously, now let me tell you that previously we in Salesforce we are creating fields that are linked to object. Why? Because their structure is like that. But attribute is not a field. It's a record itself. It's a Salesforce record in the back end. That means it has its own 18-digit ID. Okay, and what will be the nature of this record is defined by a field on the top of that record. Okay, we'll discuss what, don't be confused, but yeah, just imagine this attribute can be accessed to any object. Why? Because it's not a metadata, it's a record. Okay, clear? Okay, now let's discuss other thing. Yeah, now let's go. All those type of configuration, whatever we just discussed, attributes and field, we can do here. Foundations. Okay, we can go, we will create today itself, but yeah, I'm just giving you a reference that all those fields configuration we can do here. All this object creation, we need to rely on Salesforce stuff. We need to go and create a record there out itself. There's no UI that Velocity created for us. Okay, once we did with the step one, we can directly go and configure this thing from product. There it will ask which object you want to link for. We'll discuss about it. The next thing is the layout. But well, this is the something that you need to take care. Why I'm saying, let's discuss that. Let's write this down. Layout changes we can do directly from the layout management. Okay, there are two things, facts and sections. Let me open that. Yeah, it's there. Okay, so let me also open Salesforce link. So yeah, so you can see there are this thing. This is what called sections, right? Product details, this management, and other management, order management, all those things, right? If I ask you to create a layout like that, you probably go with edit layout and you will create sections for it. Let me show you. It is taking time. Okay, here you need to go to the sections. Yeah, this section, right? If I drag it somewhere, it asks me to name something and then we select whether we want to follow 2-column layout or 1-column, right? So this is nothing but a section. So this section is nothing but those sections here: general properties, effectivity, right? This is what called sections, and the name is also section. You need to go to the dashboard and you can create it from this part, layout management, under you will find section. But here there is a difference. Let's discuss about it. Same ways also, this section is not part of any metadata. It's not a metadata. What it is a record again. That means, let's say you have defined uh, let's say you have defined this product information. Okay, and let me actually open a normal layout account, let's say. Okay, let's say you said it account detail, or let's say you said it billing information. This is, I think, more specific. Let's say you define billing information. Okay, but now the problem here is this billing information you can only use inside account itself, right? But let's say we again need to use this billing information in contact, then we need to create another section, name it billing information, and then we can use it, right? But here the velocity says, since this is not a metadata, it's a record. That means this billing information, billing info, you can tag with product to object, you can tag with account or any other object, right? That's purely up to you where you want to configure. Why? Because this is a record. Since it's a record, so it can be accessed from anywhere. Clear? Questions? Any questions on it? That means whatever uh, whatever name that you're seeing here, like this general properties, when we create our own product, we will use a already built section. Okay, but the name, that doesn't mean when we use general properties, all those field will automatically come under that. No, only this record will be used. We'll discuss about it. Okay. Next thing is fields. Okay. Under that, once let's go back to Salesforce. Once you drag your section, the next thing you will do, you will define the fields here, right? Same thing here also. Once you drag a section, there is option where you can define the fields. But here plus attributes. Okay. You can access fields also, you can access attributes also. Okay. Next thing is related list. Yeah. So the related list in Salesforce looks like this: orders, contacts, cases, right? Here the related lists are that you can, I mean, they are not exactly like related lists, but yeah, you can use them as a related lists. Why I'm saying this? Let's say price. We'll discuss about price, but like in the rule of thumb is we can have multiple prices also in one product, right? Based on reasons or based on some sales or any based on anything, we can define multiple price here. That means it's a related list. Same goes for rules also. Maybe for one product, we have defined multiple rules, right? One rule says if the location is India, then activate this price entry. If user, if current user is a employee, then activate this price list. Say so all those things we can define here. So you can consider those sections as a related list. Okay, and they call it. So just a second. Yeah. You can define those things and they call it facts. Okay, so your related record now called facts. Those things we can tag it as a facts. So this is about the layout management. One more thing, actually, let me give you this background also. In Salesforce, we directly define layouts. Okay, and those layouts can directly apply to the Salesforce to its records, right? Here we can actually, if when we define the layouts, okay, it can be governed with the help of objects, object, or we call it category. Okay, we call it category. And in Salesforce, that is governed by with which thing? Record type. Right? If we have 10 record types, let's say, then we can define this layout specifically for our I mean, record types can govern the use of the layouts. Correct. Same thing here also. The object type or the category defines which layout will be shown. Okay. Now let me. So this is the similarity, but here there's a difference. Let's say in Salesforce, we can only have one master layout, right? I mean, let's say we have a layout for Apple or not Apple. Let's say we have a layout for Android, or we can have a layout for iOS. Okay, in we can't have a nested layout system here, nested record type system. That means there is no concept called parent or child. But in Velocity, we have a concept of parent and child. That means we can create a layout phone. We can create a record type, or you can say category or object, whatever you want to call it. The real name is object, but I don't want to confuse you with, because object is something which entirely different naming in Salesforce. So I call it category. Okay, so let's say we have a category of phone. inside this phone, we define two subcategories, Android and iOS. That means if there's couple of field that we want to activate, couple of layout, I mean the combination of your related list and made sections, the combination of these things, let's say we want to make global and we want to define at this level, so we can do that automatically. Those things get inherited to Android and iOS, which is the child of Apple, sorry, child of phone. Okay, all those things will get inherited automatically. Same thing also, we can do this. We can consider Android as a parent. That means here we can again define subcategories. Let's say Samsung. Samsung will be product. Let's say here smartphones. Right here we can define TV, televisions. Here we can define any other category, maybe smartwatch or something. Right. So whatever fields or something we have defined here, it will automatically get assigned here. And there in this layer, we have option to override whatever we have defined here. OK, we just need to click one button and all the layout will be copied here. And there from this category, we can change the layout definition. We can remove or add any section or field. Those things will automatically access from this level. So same, this tree will go similar ways until we reach to the product, which is final product. Let's say Samsung, anything like A50, anything, right? At this level, when we reach the actual layout will be governed by all its parent, and the final layout, it will take only its grandparent, I mean, initial parent layout itself, right? There we also have option where we can again go and configure the layout. We can override whatever we have done from the previous steps. Getting it? That means we have a inheritance, we have a nesting of layouts, and this nesting is also applicable for layouts and fields also. Okay, we'll discuss about it. Any questions at this level? Okay, the optimization says you should not change your hierarchy more frequently. Why? Because this thing, if you're changing, your actual category will also get affected. Okay, that's why I said in general, in normal, in whenever you work on any such a project, there is a rare changes that happens after one iteration. Okay, once any product get live and you already created those structure, then there is a rare change that you will do into that category. Okay, because once you do, it will be a big risk for product level. Why? Because product is using the inheritance of all those things. One more thing, if in your project you are making so much frequent changes at your product in terms of modifying the layout, that means you are not consuming the hierarchy well. Okay, you're not following the best practice, or you need to revisit to change your hierarchy. Okay, two things I said. First thing, you should not change the hierarchy frequently. Second thing, you should not make direct changes to your product. Okay, in terms of UI. If you want to change it, they provide you option, but you should not do it. If you are doing that, means you have not configured this thing correctly. Any questions on it? Clear? So yeah, same thing we will do in today. I have defined the definition. Yeah. So object, same as how we have fields. Yes, they are same. They are different also. We can create multiple fields. We can create our attributes also, and attributes we can tag to one object or we can make it free. Next thing is the layout. The sections is similar, but here the section is not a part of metadata. It's part of a record. That means we can access sections for multiple objects. OK, same goes for fields also. Here it's called field. We call it attributes. Related list we can configure and we call it this specs. OK. Next thing is the action. Yeah, this action we'll discuss about it. OK, how we can add those actions that we will discuss. Next thing, the record type. Record type is nothing but your uh, object here. OK, this thing is object and rest is all same. Now let's go and create one thing. But before we create, let me first show you how our end product will look like after doing all the configuration, how the end product will look like. So this is the perfect example that I found, which is already created inside those categories. First, we will check those options and then we'll try to create our own. So see, this information, again, it's not uh, mandatory to follow this structure, but this, if you follow this structure, it will be helpful for us. Okay, but again, totally depend on the requirement. First thing, in the general properties, it is nothing but a fact that we need to manually define. Okay, and then inside that we need to define a section which is called general properties, and inside that we need to define some fields. This field, whenever someone who's configuring this, let's think about that perspective. Okay, because once you done with that, someone needs to work on your system, and then then they need to manually fill the entries. I mean, they need to manually fill the data, and the data filling part in velocity is very tedious. Okay, that's why we need to define it that well, because whoever is going to do the data entry, they can be rely on whatever we have done. Okay, so in the first stream, we in the first general properties, we define some key points, which is the name of the product. What is the product code? This product code is something which define the identity of the product. Okay, it can be a third party, you can say external ID, we can define it. Next is the object type. Object type, similar ways, right? Whenever we go here, it asks us to create a object type, right? What is the correct category you want to create? Same here also. They have dragged the object type called smartphone product, whatever it is, right? Now let me copy this object type and show you. You need to go here, click here, search it, and you need to go here, or like I was saying, you can create any object here. You need to go to the product. Inside object type, you will see those options, right? Here, if I append, you will see one category for it also. Here it is. Okay, if I open this object type, you will see attributes. Those let it load. Those many attributes and field are assigned. In the layout, they have defined the same layout, right? Now let me close all those tabs and compare the layout. This is general properties. Inside general properties fact. Okay, this is a fact called general properties. Inside the general property, there is a section and all those fields are defined. Name, product code, object type, right? All those things. They have defined it, name, product, object type. Same goes the next fact, which is, yeah, this is section effectivity, and this effectivity is defined here. Next is the attribute properties. And inside that, there is a two sections. Same goes for other things, right? Price and all. So this is how your layout will be created and assigned, which is governed by your object type. Okay. Next, now let's talk about the fields, because those fields has its own definition, and you should at least configure those fields. Let's discuss about that. In your general properties, you should have those three fields, and then this is objective. It's, I mean, totally objective if you want to specify this or not. But yeah, let me tell you the definition. Specification type, they have selected product. That means that is a direct product. Okay, iPhone 11 is a direct product. The other option is offer services. We will discuss about it, but as of now, you can say if they selected as a product, that means it's a direct product. Next is the description, which is for internal purpose. Here you can define whether that's purely native field. You can define it like electronics, mobile, or whatever, right? Next thing is the status. This needs to be active. Okay, this have to be active if you want to show it in a UI, and
What
you want
actually
to.
we're doing here actually in this general property?
Sorry, can you repeat?
See what actually we are doing here actually. What is the purpose of doing this, all this configuration?
So this configuration tells what will be the nature of your of your product. Okay,
So
so
the
yeah,
record will be created, the product record will be created in Salesforce. Say on that, so we are saying we are right now we are defining the configuration for Apple iPhone 11.
correct. The moment, actually, the record you have to create with the same here, not from Salesforce. You have to create the record from this console only.
So, so first thing like the metadata, that is something like fields. So in order to store something, we in the backend, Salesforce backend, we need a custom object. or a
Correct.
standard object. So
Right.
there on that particular object, we are defining the record.
Right.
After creating a record, we are coming here and we are
No,
configuring
no,
the
no, 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 no,
specifications.
no, no. The concept of Salesforce stops after after set up the objects and fields.
Okay.
Then you will not use. Then you will not use Salesforce. I will tell you from where you actually need to use Salesforce. Then you need to totally rely on this layout, this view of page. From after enabling velocity, you have to create your products from this structure only. Because in the backend, I will tell you why I'm saying this, because they are maintaining a JSON and that JSON is having some IDs, and those IDs can only be fetched if you follow this structure. Okay, what I was showing is how a final configuration will look like. Once we do all those configuration, we set up the fields, we set up the attributes, how your end product will look like. That is what I was explaining. And why I'm explaining this, because there are important fields that actually define the nature of a product. Okay, like this status. If this status is not active and you have not checked this orderable checkbox, that means your product will not be available into the carts. User cannot go and order the product. Okay, so that means we have to somewhere define those fields so that the team who will work on filling the data can use them. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. If you follow any custom object, right, then you also need to make sure you create those fields. Okay. And then you need to handle the UI by your own. That's why it is preferable to go with object 2 only. Let me tell you this. Let me first show you why it is not going. Yeah, let me open Flipkart. Okay, let's say this is the final screen. This is your community page. Let's imagine that. Okay, and you have added n number of products, and I am clicking on this watch. Okay, I have clicked on this watch. Now, let's say you have not. You should at least have a system where you can deactivate this uh, product from the UI, so that user cannot add into the bucket.
Mhm.
Right? So those configurations can only be possible if you write logic such like that. So for product to object, they have already write those logics. Okay. If we uncheck this order checkbox, then the components that they have created to display this card view, we will discuss about those components also. There we cannot hit the order button. Why? Because this checkbox is unchecked. Okay, and in most of the time when we actually use the UI, I will also discuss, I mean there is a different class, but I'm just giving you a background. For relying on UI, we have to use their components. It will save so much time for us. We can do the customization, but we have to use their components where they have already written those logics for us.
Okay.
Okay, for that we have to use those fields into the layout. Okay, so whatever fields that you're seeing here, most of the fields you have to use in general properties, like the name of the product, the code, and what is the object type. Those things you actually need. Next thing, what will be the nature of this product, whether it is a product, service, offer, okay, or any other thing of them. We'll discuss about what all the definitions of all those things, but yeah. This is subjective. You can use it for internal purpose. This is also subjective, but yeah, this is also important. Status needs to be active. Orderable checkbox need to be true. Okay, not assetization. Yeah, this is something we will come back when we discuss about the technical products. Right here, we are discussing about the commercial products. This is for technical products. Next is the type. Now this is purely, it's not required. You can configure according to the needs. Right. Next thing is the effectivity. This is important. See, your checkbox, this active needs to be true. So that means status, orderable, and active needs to be true if you want to show your product into the cart. Next thing is the selling start date. That is important. Let's say, let's now discuss a use case. Let's say there is a MI, which is a mobile brand, right? They are launching a new phone. Okay, and let's say they want to launch this phone in first Feb. Okay, and they have started the promotions and all this early. In Flipkart, you sometimes Flipkart or Amazon, you have seen that some of the products is listed there, but we cannot order it. Right? There's an option called pre-order. Right? So let's check. Let's see how we can configure those pre-orders. For that, let's say the actual release of the product is 1st Feb. So here we need to create the date of 1st Feb. Okay, which they have already set. Okay, which is the start selling date. In date, we will discuss about it. And next is the fulfillment date. Fulfillment date means if I select 1st Jan here, okay, so let's say my product users can order my product from 1st Feb because the selling is start from 1st Feb. But we are accepting pre-orders. Okay, that means user can book their product by by purchasing the product, but the order consumption process will start after 1st Feb because the inventory is not yet finalized. Getting it? That means your fulfillment date should always be less than your start date. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Next two dates are selling in date and life in date, life cycle in date. Selling in date means, let's say Apple releases iPhone 13 and they now don't want to sell iPhone 10. In that case, if we go and select a in date, let's say we have selected the in date for iPhone 11 for 2024 1st Jan. That means after 1st Jan, user cannot order iPhone 11, but they can view this iPhone 11 into our uh, card system. I mean, they can view iPhone 11. If I search any old brand, you will see there is some product will show. But let's say any Spice phone. Is it this phone? Yeah, you can see unavailable, currently unavailable. Right? Those things sold out and unavailable. That means they are still in the panel. User can notify and all, but they can't order it, right? So the same thing we can do here. We can control this with the help of end selling date. Next is the end of life date. That means if I put any date here, that means this particular product will not users cannot search this product from using search feature. That simply you can say will not list out anywhere, and we also don't support it. Okay, so those are the four dates that you need to take care whenever you create your product. In most of the time, we will not use selling end date because company will not define when they are stopping the selling when we actually add any product. But they can say we are accepting the orders before 1 month or 2 months of our actual selling start date. Okay, so those configuration we can do directly from here. All right. Next, so this is about the general properties. In this general property tab, we need to define those fields which are actually important. Okay. Next thing is the attribute. There we will define some basic attributes. Let's say if it is a phone, then what is the brand, what are the size, capacity, OS state, and color and payment. You can simply go and click on the edit. Here you will get an option to define the uh, properties of it, right? You can go here and check what are the capacity and all. You can change the value to 16 to 28 GB and all, and you can save it. You can also make it active. If you make it active, that means this attributes or property cannot be accessed. Okay, we'll discuss about it, what all the other features required and all. We will discuss about it, right? Next thing is the attribute fields. This is the panel which tells you what are the fields and attributes are listed. Now you will see the type. There are two types. One is the attribute, second is the fields. Attributes are something that we have created, and fields are which are product two fields. All those product two fields will be inherited here, and you can check. Okay, you can simply go and click on assign an attribute. You will see the list of all the attributes that are available. Now you can click on any attribute here and you can assign. Then those attributes will be listed out here, and now you can change the definitions. Let's say if I click on brand, I can go and change the brand from Apple, LG, Samsung or anything. And just think that when I clicked here, it shows a 18-digit ID, right? That means it is nothing but a record into the backend Salesforce. Okay, same thing you can configure here also. Next is the attachments. Attachments means what will be the what will be the this image of your particular product, but that image we need to store somewhere, right? So from where we need to store, we can define it under the attachment section. If you click here, you will see we need to give a URL. It could be a external website URL also. Let's say uh, there are two types of requirement when the image basically user asks us to save into Salesforce. Okay, then we need to define the directly we need to go here and define what is the type, whether it is a video file or image. We need to define it, and then we need to go to the document folder or static resource folder, sorry, static resource. There we need to drag the image. We need to make sure that this image is publicly available. Okay, and then we need to copy the URL of those images. Okay, let me show you. To go to the documents. Okay, if you are working on document, make sure you create a folder which is publicly accessible. Let's say this is the photo, and here if you see, yeah, you need to inspect it and you need to copy this URL. Okay, and then you need to define the same URL to that place. Before you actually define it, make sure you go to the incognito and check it whether this is available for publicly or not. See, this is available for publicly. Why it is available? Because you can see there is a org ID given. If you remove this org ID in these two parameters, it will not be accessed. Yeah, it will not show anything. Sometimes it also asks to login, right? So those things we need to define. We need to copy this, go there and paste the URL directly. Okay, next option is we can go to the static resource, but I think static resource, we can't make public URLs in static resource, but let me check. I generally use documents only. Static resource are meant to use if you have a huge file, which is a theme or something. If I click here, there's an option I think for publicly accessible checkbox. Yeah, here public private. But even if it is a public, I don't think it will be available without login. Yeah, so just check it, whatever suits you. I personally use this document because we can give org ID and this last modified name, and we can access it outside also. Same thing you need to give here. Make sure if it is an image, then use image. If it's video, it's use video. If it is a GIF file, use file. Okay. Description is for internal purpose. Only those things that matters. Sequence we will discuss about it. This is also important. Default means what will be the default landing image. Let's say if this image we want to show as a default, there are 10 images. You need to select one as a default. Sequence says what will be the sequence. Let's say you have added 5 images. Okay, so which one will be the first and which one will the last will be governed by sequence. Sequence can be in a default number series, like that means 1 2 3 4 and 5. It could be like that 10 20 30 50, or it could be like 10 12 16 18. Okay, it could be anything, but whatever number which is the least will show first, and this sequence will go like that only. Okay, next is the product structure. It will show you the hierarchy. Actually, if you have this product which is actually there is a concept called bundling. Okay, there is a different class. So bundling means you can create a product which is a bundle. That means along with, if there is a requirement, let's say along with this Apple 11, we are also selling the watches, iWatches. Okay, and we have created a bundle, like if user buy iPhone 11 and watch together, then we are giving some discount on Apple Watch. Okay, additional discount you can say. In that case, we need to configure bundles here. Okay, so if this is a bundle product, then all those child product will be listed out here in product structure. We'll configure this when we discuss bundles. Price, again, this is something related to the price. Next is the context tools and the layout. Okay, here layout, when you click, you will see a button called create custom layout. That means as of now, whatever layout you are seeing here, it is governed from its parent, which is this. Okay, this is nothing but its object type, which is governed from the object type. If you use layout here and you click on this create custom layout, let's say what it will do. Give it a moment. What it is doing in the backend is it is cloning all those fields that you have defined here. It has cloned all those fields now. Now on the top of it, you can go and delete anything, or you can also go in the section. You can change any default configuration. You can add any other fields as well. This is what I was saying. You should not go and change it frequently to the direct product. Why? Because if you're making any changes on this product level, this will only be available for that product only. Let's say if I want to make change, let's say in iPhone, there's a concept called uh, laser system, which actually detect your face. Okay, and since we have controlled this from our master product catalog, which is object type, here it could be governed. I mean, this can be used for Android also, let's say. Okay, this is the parent that can be accessed on Android also. And since Android don't have that technology, which laser technology, which shows the different dots to the face and detect the face, this is Android technology, right? This is not Android technology, this is iOS technology. In that case, what that means, whatever, if we are going to configure iPhone 11, we need to define that attribute here. If we configure iPhone 12, we need to define it here. 13, 14 and further series also, we need to manually go and define it here. That means there is a lag between two hierarchies. We can optimize this by defining another object type in between these two object types, right? And inside that object type, I can define that particular node or particular field or particular attributes. Getting it? So those things we should avoid using that. But yeah, velocity will never stop you. Whatever you do, you can go and directly create it as well. As a product, they will not stop you. But yeah, as a individual, as a velocity developer, we should maintain the standards. We should follow the best practices. Okay. Next is the debug. It will show you whatever you have done up to those steps. It will show you the entire JSON of that. And now let me actually copy this JSON, show you in JSON parser, and this will answer the question like why we should not do any changes directly in Salesforce. Let's discuss that. If you open this JSON, you have different sections. These sections are nothing but your those sections. Okay. I have opened this one. Inside that, you will see there is a IDs defined, object ID, attribute ID, right? Those IDs you cannot configure. I mean, you can configure, but it will be a big problem if if there is any mismatch happened. The entire catalog will fail. Sometimes it's also happened like if someone in my team, they think they are very pro in handling the JSON, they did direct changes. And since it's an ID, that means wherever you move your code, those changes will vary, right? Those IDs will vary accordingly if you're moving from one sandbox to other sandbox. In that case, one weird thing that I have observed, if any changes happened, any JSON issues happen, Velocity will stop loading any of its native pages. That means you cannot access this template. Let's say if you have made any changes and you have clicked on this product, this page will not load, because at the end of the day, it is nothing but a VF page, which is totally relying on the JSON that is created in the backend. And if you are not feeding the correct JSON, the page will not load. It will show some weird exception in this area. So the thing is, we should not make any changes directly to Salesforce. We have to rely on the this VF page, and we have to add our products and all from this VF page only. Okay. Any questions at this level? Now let's go quickly and create a product. First thing, what we need to do, can you tell me what we need to do?
We just need to define the object first.
Right. We need to click on the object. Let me close all those tabs. And I will open this Android 11, this iPhone 11. Yeah, so also close this. You need to click on this object. search here. It will list out all the available objects. It will show you the list of standard objects, also in custom. It will show all custom objects, but standard objects, there are limited standard objects. It will show, I think, only product 2 it will show, right? Rest all are the custom objects. Okay, let's click on product 2. Forgot about these three. Go to the object type. We'll discuss about what is that. There you need to click on new. Okay, here you need to name it. Let's say we are naming phone. Parent, just keep it blank. Click on active, set any effective date. Let's say I have selected first date. Until this will be shown, after which date it will get deactivated. So yeah, it is uncertain at that moment when you go and configure, so keep it blank. Okay, so the configuration is you need to name it, parent, just leave it, activate it, and add an effective date and save it. Okay, you can see one record get created here, and when you open it will show like that. Now if you go and check this, there is an option called attributes and there is called layouts, from where we can control those things directly, right? Here it is also asking us to add any parent. That means if we have phone is the grandparent, right? There's no parent. I was trying to what I will do is now I will go again here, create another object type, and here we will call Android phone. Let's say Android phone. Why I'm not saying Android? Because Android, there is already a category for Android. So yeah. Now in the parent, we need to click here and select phone. Okay. Effective, check active, select today's date and save it. Now what it will do, let's check. You will see one got created inside that. Same goes again. We need to go click on it. Have been to name iOS phone, or yeah, Apple phone or iOS, anything. Here you just need to click phone. Okay, activate it, save it. Yeah, one thing that I want to say, in this level, there's no unique check added. That means you can create 10 categories with the same name. But when you actually refer them, it will be very problematic because we will not sure which category we are referring. So make sure you name it uniquely. And yeah, if I make it Android, or let's say I make it phone, then there is a different category in those lists called Android or something. Then when we actually configure it, we will not identify which category we are configuring, right? Now let's go to this level, which is phone. And here we need to go to the general properties. Sorry, layouts. We'll discuss about this. Let's first create a layout. Now, those things we will first define: general properties, attribute properties. For that, we need to go to the and define the facts. See, this fact I told you, they have nothing but a record. That means all those facts is already created. If you want to create your own fact, just click on it new. It has just, you need to label it and make it active. That is it. You don't need to take care of anything else. Okay. In our case, we want to use fact called general properties, right? This general properties. Copy that and search it. You need to actually click on this and then you can search it. That is the general property. Just select it. Sequence will be 1. Save it. Okay, same goes for other. We need to create another fact, and this time we will add this attribute properties, right? Use the same thing. Search it. Attribute properties, select this. Sequence will be 2 and save it. Similar ways, you need to select all those attributes, attribute attachments. Okay. In your requirement, there are two, let me tell you that basically when we get any requirement, we have two types of requirement. One is a person who is already technical and they know what we need to configure. In that case, they will directly in the Jira or any places that you're tracking, you are using for tracking, they will directly say in the layout management, you need to create those layouts. Or if you are a project lead, or if you are a lead developer, then you need to, based on the grooming calls, you need to define those steps so that your developers can follow those things. Okay, so before, this is not a big deal. I mean, creating on this fact, and simply this is nothing but a data entry, right? This is not a big deal. But yeah, thinking which property you want and which property will be displayed for the end user, this will be the key thing. Okay, so as of now, I'm just considering what how I do it. I actually need to take care about whatever the native thing that product to object, whatever native thing that the card needs. So I at least need to add those things. So first thing that I will do, I will open this Apple 11. This is something for mobile, and they have created for this for others also. If you go to the product, you will see different products. Okay, even there's some soft products also. Let's say this Disney Plus. This is not a physical product, right? So if you go, you will see those categories here also. So based on the requirement based, just check whether the type of product you want to configure is already listed in this category or not. Most probably you will find this thing. Okay, then just add at least those fields to the UI which actually required, and show a quick demonstration to the business team, whatever whoever giving you a requirement, and then based on that they will give you some changes. That changes you need to write down somewhere, and then based on that you need to create the gyras and everything else. Okay, those things that we need to take care from where the requirement is coming. Okay, so that's why I'm following this structure. You also probably need, see this attribute and fields, you have to add it, because if you're not adding it, how someone who's working on it will add it, right? So those things we have to add. So that's why you need to go here, create a fact for that also. Sequence 3. Once you define it, now you need to go and define the sections. In general property, there is a section called general properties again. Okay, here you can define one. Always select field layout. That means you are controlling this thing. If you select custom, that means it is coming from somewhere else. Select field layout. Leave this category blank. Just save it. Inside the section, now it will tell you, if you click here, field layout. Let me add one more, which is effectivity. Yeah, it will tell you what field you want to add, right? If you click here, it will tell you which field you want to add. Since in our field, in our this category, in this phone category, we have not used any field. So for that, we need to first define those fields. Let's say we want to define brand, color, connectivity type, data plan, and all this is not required. Installation city, IP address not required. Number of accounts, this nothing required. Size we can add. Storage, active, right? All those things. Now I'm just randomly adding those things. You need to take care which field you are adding, right? Images and all. Fulfillment date, fulfillment start date, external ID, right? All those things. JSON attributes, life cycle status, last viewed, reference. Okay, object type, parent class, all those things you can basically select from here itself. Those are nothing but the default product fields. Okay, and yeah, let's say those many fields we have defined, vendor type, vendor and type. Okay, and then you need to click on the assign button. Okay, all those fields will list out here. Even you are creating this for object 2, right? But you cannot access all those object 2 native fields because you have not added into the attribute and field section. Then if you go to the layout management and you click on the section, here you will find the list, right? Then you can use the brand, sequence, just add 1 or 2, right? Then this field will be activated. Then again, you can add another field, color, make it 3. Don't follow the stick sequence when you're defining those fields like 1, 2, 3, 4. Why? Because maybe in future you will delete it and then you will get confused what sequence was that. So either you follow 1, 2, 3, 4 very strictly, or you give it a like that only 1, 3, 5 like that, so that you have option to control it. Let's say you have configured this 3. Okay. And you use another thing and you give it a 3 sequence. In that case, you will not actually able to control which one will be first, which one will be the last. Okay, so that's why I'm saying just follow the sequence like 1, 3, 5. Give it some, don't follow the stick sequence. Otherwise, if you delete something, you will get confused which one you want to display first. Okay, the good part here is you don't, once you are configuring this, it will automatically show at that proper level. Let's say I have selected that. Okay, and I have given, let's say 2. Color we already have. In date, in live date, let's say this, and I selected that. In that case, you will see this particular field will automatically, show in that particular UI. We cannot drag drop it, right? If let's say if we want to make color as a second element, we cannot drag drop it. What we can do, we can click on second and check, okay, what is the sequence of this? We can make it 10, save it, and there we can go and we can make it 2 and save. In that case, it will be the last and it will be the second. Okay, those things you can directly configure. Same thing you need to do for others also. You need to click on the sections and define those sections. Inside the sections, you need to add the fields, right? Here you need to actually add effective T. Those things you need to add, and then you will find this thing and you need to add those dates under that, right? So this is the basic concept. And yeah, unfortunately, we cannot access JSON and there is no concept called cloning here. Okay, let's say this phone we have created and there's another category, let's say smartwatch, and we want to do it quickly. We want directly clone the JSON and use it there. So that option is not there. We have to click on manually and create it. Okay, so that is something tedious, but yeah, that is something which not gonna change frequently. But yeah, at that level, we have no option where we can directly go and access that. Okay, once you save it, now if you go, now you can go here, click on plus icon, object type. Our object type is phone, right? We can define phone here. We can make it any phone. Like ideally, I should not use Samsung under phone. I should tag Android phones, right? Android phones and define Samsung A80, let's say A80. This is the product name. Specify it as a product code. This product code you will your wherever the source of this Samsung will give you the product code. You need to define it. Let's say PRD M80. This is the product code, right? And this product code is not the unique identity. It can also be duplicate. So don't be confused with the API name here. Okay. Let it save. Okay, meanwhile it is saving. Let's go into Salesforce and check whether they have created a category for it or not. See, I have created a phone category. You will see there is an entry of phone. Where is the phone? Yeah, you can see phone. All those attributes that we are adding, they are tagged to a specific ID, and you can see in the related all those fields, object type and everything they have created here. Okay, you can check this. This is nothing but some class that they have defined. Under that, they have maintained the class name, which is object class, which is phone, right? So all those things they have already defined. And inside that, you will see there is a different thing called iOS, right? This is the iOS. This is nothing but governed by phone. And all those attributes, no attributes here because it is governed by this phone only, right? So those things, whatever we do, it will be created a record under that. So why they did that? Because they are following the very object specific thing, record specific thing. That means even for a simple change, you will see a record get created inside that, right? So all those things are basically there. You will see nothing is listed. Why? Because we need to go there to that, and inside phone, now we need to go to the parent, which is Android. Inside that, yeah, it should actually automatically inherit. I'm not sure why it is not inheriting. Mhm. And layout. There it is. Check. Let's do one thing. Let's quickly go and create a fact here also. Okay, required fields. We can give one as a sequence. Okay, you will see now it is created. Now we can go and refresh it. Okay, so general properties list. Similar ways, you need to define all those all the layout here, and it will available to the product. Okay, those things I will leave to you guys to configure the layouts, because there's no technicality inside that. This is nothing but a data entry job that you can do. In the next class, we will check from where we can create the attributes and from where we can create the pick lists. That we will check in the next class. And what are the options of controlling the profiling and all, that we will also check. There's a concept called velocity intelligence. Let me show you this in Flipkart. If you go or Amazon, based on your account or based on your card preferences, they will start showing the filters on the top. Let's say here I have selected that. No, in the previous screen. In this area, they're not showing this, but in most of the time you will see there's a different filters come into the picture. We just need to create the category filter, and based on that category the product will be sorted, right? So those things we will also check from where we can configure this option, where some machine learning algorithm will run for from the backend and return the response, and based on that those attributes can be used as a filter also. So those things we will check tomorrow. That means, let's say we have created attributes for color. Let's say today we have created attribute for color, and when users are basically searching for something, we want to have a filter on color also. Or forgot about color, let's talk about RAM. Okay, let's say whenever users are searching for mobile, I don't know if they have given this filter. No, previously they will give filters for RAM also. Let's say we only want to show uh, at least 8 GB of RAM phones. So there we can just simply click on that 8 GB, and based on that all those products will be short out. So those things we will check from where we can do that. Between that, any questions?
So do you have any, documentation or something we can read? Because
Yeah, right, right. Mhm.
it's a very
I
new terms actually for us. So at
right,
least
right. I will share. Yeah, I will share the document today. You can find that in LMS. Okay. Whatever I have told you, it was you will find it in one or two classes, initial one or two classes. You will check that. Anyways, I will list. I will upload the document also for a PC. Okay.
okay.
Well, any other question? Okay, then yeah, let's connect tomorrow and discuss the further topics. Meanwhile, also keep an eye on the assignment and ask me if you have any questions on it.
And I would request, whenever we start the next class, it's better, it would be really helpful, just, recall the things what we have, discussed in this, because the only thing like the terms right now we used, and we are not, I never
Mhm.
used this
Correct,
before.
correct.
So all
Right,
of
right.
a sudden everything comes up, it's hard to digest. So,
Mhm. So what I'll do, let's discuss first 5-6 minutes for recapping what we have discussed in the last class, and then from there we can go further.
and I also recommend to do, at least in the initial classes, do this explanation in a bit slower manner. It's like giving just a request again, actually, you know.
So
So
how was it? I try to explain like very genuinely. I'm saying I'm try to explain it very slow. So
yeah.
is the speed is still fast? So I can also make it that change also.
So the recommend, like, we whenever whenever a concept comes, something called facet or section, we are just finishing that in a sentence. Facet something like this. It's better to explain that in a bit. At least uh,
Yeah, I can understand. See,
yeah,
whatever initially how I do it,
yeah,
initially I will tell you 2 or 3 sentences for specific topics, right?
yeah.
Why I can't explain everything in one first class? Because they are a dedicated topic that
Okay,
have its own classes, like
okay,
this foundation and all. Like I was saying, this attribute is used because it is a substitute of fields, but we have its own class which we will discuss tomorrow for from how we can create those attributes and what are the in-depth knowledge on it. So
okay,
initially when I discuss those things, I just want you guys to keep a mapping in your mind that okay, this attribute is something which is related to fields, and
okay.
this is object is something related to the record types. But anyways, when we go into it, we will go and create an entire full exercise on discussing those topics, right?
Yep. I'm not able to get the full view, actually. That's
Right. That's also fine because initially we are just in an initial phase. Once you complete the EPC, when I once I say this is the last class of EPC, in that class, if you have any questions, then yeah, you can ask actually anything. But yeah, in couple of 1 or 2 classes, I can only
yeah,
tell
getting
the actual definition of the mapping. I also want to relate those things from Salesforce itself. So yeah, don't be confused and don't
yeah,
get that it is the last thing that we're gonna discuss.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And
Yeah.
please share us
Thanks. Mhm.
document to yeah, in LMS, and if possible, we have a WhatsApp group, right? Try to, it will be helpful if we paste there also. Yeah.
WhatsApp group, I will discuss with IT. Actually, I already requested those, but the problem with this is in the last few initial few classes, there's some person who don't want to share the contact details in
Uh,
to that group. So that's why we stop creating WhatsApp.
yeah.
But anyways, if you have any certain thing that you want to discuss, you can drop the email to support email, and then maybe we can create off. We can connect offline if you want to discuss something.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.